Hey guys, Novus here. Welcome back to From the Depths. So, yeah, got a wall here. So I was thinking I might go through a bit of work with turrets, specifically advanced turrets, and just sort of muck around with those for a bit. Yeah. This is what I've been using to test them though. So, it's kind of going to set up a bit of a extended setup eventually, but yeah, ignore this. There was some land there when I was first building it, so I was like, I'll fix it later. All we got going on here is we got some repair belts in here, we got material storage encased in heavy armor with a bit of an air gap around it. This side doesn't, but meh. Air gap here, enemy simulator just on an AI, and there is a chair. Probably shouldn't have that there anymore, to be honest. Directly in front of the AI, just got an extra layer of armor there. Then we've got 4 walls of basically just different, basically just sort of, we mixed it up a bit in terms of the armor, but I still need one that's steel, then wood. Also need to chuck in ones that have alloy in them and so forth. But basically what happens is you take a cannon and you just start blasting the first wall. You see how it does against the first wall, the second, third, fourth, so on and so forth. And it'll also give you an idea of how different types of rounds can actually penetrate through, so on and so forth. But we'll go over that in a minute. Yeah, so that's just basically what we're going to be shooting at for today. And I probably should finish it at some point. This is one of the first guns we're going to be shooting at with real quick. And this is just to demonstrate different types of guns, and then I'm going to go over, I guess, how to sort of lay them out, get an idea of what you're going to do ahead of time, and so forth. So yeah. In this, I've got all the stuff that needs to run a advanced cannon. I'd suggest doing something kind of like this. This actually a little block to be able to control the gun, from what I remember. So we don't even need anything in terms of, what do you call it? The local weapon controllers. So yeah, none of that's needed. Makes it easier, and basically you just save up like a little. You don't need a roof on it. I just actually slapped the roof on it for this one, just because it had a habit of detonating. I was testing it against actual units at one point. But basically just set yourself up a little tower. Try not to make the walls too tall. Put, like, if you really wanted, some detection on the sides. And then, yeah, just don't put a roof on it, and that way you can have different heights of turrets and so forth and be testing them out of it, and, you know, just makes it a bit easier. Right, so this gun, yeah, it's just using belt-fed autoloaders, 1 meter racks, so we don't hold that many shells in it at a time. Plenty of intakes, bunch of cooling vents down here. It could have heaps more, but it's not currently necessary, although I was looking at trying to beef it up even further. 88mm gauge. I've got the rounds currently down here. They can be changed back and forth and so forth. But yeah, these are what we're currently shooting. So 323 explosive damage, 6 meter radius, 456 kinetic damage, hollow point head, 1500 meter range. So they don't shoot very far, but they do shoot pretty quick. Actually, I'll go over here. Okay, I seem to have a bit of difficulty there laying it up initially, but it shoots fairly quick. Needs more autoloaders, I believe, though. Actually has, yeah, needs a bit of tuning, but fires them out pretty quickly. It basically doesn't stop for quite a while. But this is just going to be more of an anti-air type situation. Does alright. It's nothing special. Does okay. So we'll do scrap that. I'll just show you one other gun real quick. And this is just to give you an idea of, you know, you can kind of do some damage with like a quick firing Gatling gun against heavy armor. But if you really want to do damage to that kind of armor, probably going to want something a bit bigger. So this one, this actually doesn't have the little block in it and so forth. It's actually a different version of the turret base. I've got a saved version of the turret base that was upgraded, I believe. This was just built before. So this is a maximum gauge gun, 500 millimeters. Yes, that's half a meter of, yeah. Let's muck about. So we got the 8-meter racks going on. If I can get out of the floor. Okay, hang on. Get my bearings. Alright. So we should be able to find, I think it's over here somewhere. Yeah. Here's the shells that we're currently using. So it's got an explosive damage of 15,000. We're still using the hollow point heads. Now, the hollow point heads probably aren't so useful for that other gun I was mucking around with a minute ago. You'd actually be better off with completely different rounds, just because of how low the kinetic damage is in tiny rounds. But with just a base bleeder and inertial fuse, all these are high explosives, none of them are being funneled into anything. So it's like full damage. 15,000 almost, or 14,000. 38 meter radius, so pretty solid. Yet the kinetic damage, because it's maximum range gauge, oh god. It's 15,000. So it's higher than the explosive damage. It's actually 15.7, so it's quite a bit higher than the explosive damage. That's just because of how heavy the round itself is. Now it's got no real armor piercing, but it doesn't need it at all. Due to the hollow point head, what they do flattens on first impact and imparts all kinetic energy onto the surface with an armor piercing value of 10. So basically what that'll do is any individual block that it hits, if it hits something that's really heavy armor, it is gonna break that block. Then it's gonna send the explosive damage through to anything that's weaker behind it. So this is basically designed to punch holes in things, and you'll see that do with that in a minute. Ammo cost is pretty high for each shell. It's actually going to go through a lot of ammunition to do this, but it's got a 10,000 meter range. And I did set up a different version that sort of also had, I can't remember the name of it now, the railgun attachment feeding down the sides. It was basically just like it was an AA version, so I couldn't get any on the top, but I got them on the sides and the bottom, and it was able to fire up to 19,000 meters, I believe. So it wasn't half bad. But now this is set up. Quickly show you just the sheer difference in firepower. So it takes a little bit, but it definitely gets through better than the old gun. Now if you watch from above, you can sort of see it's making its way through, and it is sending blocks all over the place. So this is why you also leave an air gap and so forth. You can also have different lengths of air gaps, and you test out different rounds and sort of see, say with your believe it's heat penetration rounds, so to send a stream of hot metal through. You can have different lengths of air gaps and so forth, and see how resilient it'll be between each sets of air gaps, different types of armor, so on and so forth. As you can see, this thing it'll eventually make its way through to the center. It's got a lot of ammunition in the tower at the moment on the right there. That's to initially load it up. Once it's loaded, it just kind of just stays loaded. Doesn't have an issue with that. It's got, you know, close to 100 shells racked in at a time, and yeah, doesn't mess about. It'll break its way through pretty much anything, just slowly but surely. Yeah. So these are the kinds of things you can do with it. Now I might quickly move on to doing a little bit of quick construction. So what we're going to do is rip that straight out. Nope. We are going to restart this designer. I just remembered the gun is just going to sit in the middle of the building for ages if I did that. Okay, so I do have the testing turret. I need to clean up the list again. Kind of just keep making a mess, but yeah. So essentially there's a few different ways you can command this, so you don't really need that there. Alright, let's place a new object. So if we want to put in an actual turret that's tiny, let's go here, one axis turret, and I mean in terms of how far into the ship it goes tiny. So what you need really, if you don't want to make, like, you can extend gauge increases slash cooldown and so forth out to the sides on it by just putting down a splitter at the beginning here at the bottom. But if you don't want to worry about that, then you can just straight up put your gauge increases in. Now you want your gauge increases as far in the ship as possible. I mean, it's safer for the racks and so forth if you do put it away from them, but you do want it as deep down in your ship as possible, the gauge increases themselves, because if they break, all your ammo gets ejected, and that's sad boys. So let's say we're just making a tiny gun. Okay, so we need at least 3 blocks of space, so that way we've got, this is for minimum size of racks and so forth. Now you can get away if you want to make a really, really tiny one with just putting autoloader this way, one on each side. This is just sort of bare minimum space sort of a situation. Put this in, make sure that it is actually facing off to the side. So what we're then going to do is that we can still have our input feeders, put them on the sides. If you really want to make it load quick, you can actually also put them onto the racks with this design. Usually I just put one input feeder onto each autoloader slash set of racks. I don't like to have them loading too quickly, because that way, if they're loading a bit slowly, it means, like, usually you want to have them loaded up before a fight. But this is tiny, it's going to hold so little ammo, it's going to empty it really quickly. It's, yeah, probably do want just a couple of input feeders just to make sure that it can load up in a fight, not just before the fight. But usually, yeah, I don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 meter beam here on the front. And the reason for this is so that we can then use that to put our left and right splitter here. You want to put the bottom end where you can see the open, yeah. You want to put that facing this way for the advanced firing piece. Now, it does kind of tell you which side is the top and so forth. You got those 2 little different things. You can kind of probably see them. Yeah, those kind of just tell you where the bottom of it is. It's just so that you can make sure you put your gun the right side up and so forth. And you can put yourself a little 2-meter tall AA mantlet there. You would actually have a spacing here so that you can put armor across. So if we were to run this straight across, and then 3 meter, and then yeah, that would give you an idea of sort of this is where it would kind of just chill out, freely move around. As you can see, it moves very quickly because it's very tiny. The gauge, we'd actually get it out of this just because of the fact that we've only got 1 gauge increase on it. It would only be 120mm for single barrel, but if we pump it all the way up to 6, we've got 36 mils. So it seems like it's actually a bit much. So what we could do is take it down to like 4. Still got 48mm, it's almost 50mm guns. It could work. Then what you want to do is set up an ammo customizer that's set up specifically for that gauge. So you want to try and get it around, right, here we are. So if we take it down to 49, I believe it was 49, hang on, let me double check, was it 48? 48, sorry, my bad. I always can't find this thing, it's because I go past it. 48, okay. So quickly whack that in. This will tell us, so 1 meter shell rack needed for 768, so this needs to be longer if we do really want to cram as much as we can in. So let's just try and get that set up. No hollow point at the end. So yeah, you want to use this, your ammo customizer, as your way to sort of get an idea of how to change your gun in different ways and so forth. So that's 1152, so it's a tiny bit too long. So we can then turn this one into a hollow point. And there we are. So it's 1056, so it's a tiny bit too far over still. So what we can do, we can actually use a single module, put the hollow point on there, and really game, come on. Okay, alright, so we're gonna have to go with 960mm. So that gives us an idea as well here. Expected reload time from clip is 2 seconds, which means, yeah, we should be able to get this spraying fairly quickly. It's just the barrel cooldown is going to be a bit of an issue. But this is for going like bare minimum size. We could always still decrease the gauge more. We could have 6 barrels. 36mm, I mean that's tiny, but if we made this long enough, I mean we could still make it a decent strength, but probably go with the 80 for the moment, just real quick to test this out. You need to set a limit on this real quick before you can actually set it to spin. We'll just go for 200 rounds per minute. It's not very quick, but we'll just see how it goes real quick. Okay. For that, we want to put barrels. Oh yeah, because this is belt fed, we need to set those up now, so that way they'll actually start loading while we set up the barrels. Okay. Not a huge fan of the heavy barrels there, just because they're really slow to move. It's just, yeah, it's a bit how's it going. So I've been mucking around more with the standard barrels again, and then just finding where usually this would exit from the armor, and then just put a bit of heavy barrel on the outside edge there. And it keeps the gun moving relatively quick, at least. That's gonna have to go, essentially, but Yes, it's easy enough to cut these walls down, create an opening, and then we can just fire out through the front. Just be manually firing it. And yeah, so this will give us an idea of how hard it hits and how far it fires, so on and so forth. So we're getting there with the shells. So set it up so that forwards facing is where the walls will be facing on this vehicle as well. So when I put the armor plate testing down, it should be facing the right way. So we'll set up to shoot at that thing. I put it a bit far away. It's just to give it an idea of what it's going to be doing when it actually has to shoot a bit of range. It's only got 630 meters range. It's tiny, tiny range on this tiny, tiny gauge. But again, usually I'd probably put it to 3 blocks up, and that would give us a bit more space. Again, I'd also sort of usually have, I mean, you could go with this build and actually put these just a bit higher up, and have at the bottom there, instead of just a standard gauge increase, have it split off to the left and right, and then drop down, and then sort of wrap back around and up, and so forth. And you could try some different stuff, but basically, yeah, you could get more gauge increases into this for sure. But this is just, from what I'm aware, sort of bare minimum. Yeah. So to put it into consideration, like, it's a 3x3 and a 3x3x2 space that it has to take up inside your ship. Okay, so should be in the sea, I believe. Nope. There we are. Alright. Let's go over here. Let's set this to be an enemy real quick, just so we can actually target it. This makes it a little bit easier. It's not able to aim that far, is it? I put it too far away. Wow, okay. Well, there you go. This is bare minimum. Now, let me really quickly put that up to like that. So yeah, it doesn't fire all that quickly, but it probably even technically do the job, I guess, you know what I mean? Just with some short range guns. But yeah, that just takes up 3x3x2. So let's try and set it up to be a bit more effective though. Actually, I might do this in a 2-part dealio. So what I'll do is I'll cut it off here. Yeah, so I'll probably, okay, I'll do another one of these, but I'll just make it a bit taller and sort of actually set it up a bit better. And then probably move on to sort of setting them up so that they're not turreted. And then maybe move on to the different sizes of actual auto loaders and racks and so forth. So yeah, that's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, have a good one, guys.